week's edition of the WCS Sports Connection. I'm your co-host, Jimmy Qualls, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Tate Mathews. Tate, there's been a lot of action going on here in the WCS Sports Conference. Tournament basketball time. The district tournaments just finished. We got regions starting this week. We also just had the WCS Sports Conference Wrestling State Championships going on. We had 48 total wrestlers from the WCS Sports Conference represented.
Yeah, we did. It was over at the Williamson County Ag Center, and as usual, WCS Sports Conference was very well represented. We've always been pretty successful in wrestling here, and to put 48 in the state tournament, I want to make sure everybody knows, if you've never been a part of wrestling, just making it to the state tournament is a heck of an accomplishment and a great season. So 48, that's a great showing. Once we got there, we had a rough 3 days, but that's because there was a lot of good wrestlers there. So congratulations to all 48 of the wrestlers that made it there.
Well, the breakdown goes like this. Independence High School placed 12 in the tournament. This is the individual tournament, not the duel. The duel was the week before, where we put 3 teams in with Independence, Centennial, and Page. That's the most that we can get into the duels. Yep. They did not get on the podium, but that's okay. We had 3 teams there. But with this, we had the most, but you got to consider we were all probably also the biggest and largest system. Now, to put it in perspective, Independence had 12. Bradley Central put every wrestler in that qualified. Now, we know that the gold medals go through East Tennessee when it comes to wrestling. You mentioned it off the air. Who are those teams that we're talking about?
Well, if you look at the top 5, Bradley won, and second place was Tennessee High. Bradley more than doubled their point total. After that, third, Beach, which is really remarkable, how far that wrestling program has come. But third place was a tie between Beach and, I believe, Cleveland. Then after that, you had Saudi. So do the math on that. 3 of those top 5 are all kind of like right here. I mean, they're about as close as Independence, Centennial, and Franklin, really.
It's equivalent to putting what we did in football. Centennial, right. Independence in the state semis, and then putting 2 in the state championship game. That'd be equivalent. So leading the way, Independence placed 12 wrestlers in the tournament. Summit had 8. Page had 7. Brentwood was 6. Centennial and Fairview and Ravenwood each with 4 apiece, and then Franklin with 3. Out of those, you get the to make the podium, you have to have the top 6, but we're going to talk about the top 3 that we had. If you made the top 3 spots, Chris Rowland, Ravenwood at 152. Now, this is a shocker, placed second, runner-up. That is nothing to be be worried about or be upset about, but at the fact, I think he may have been the favorite going in. I don't know, but Chris Rowland, unbelievable. 2 years in a row, being in the state championship match, gets beat by 1 point both times. He was leading in this one 2-1 with about a minute to go and gets beat 3-2.
Yeah, and he got beat by a guy from Bradley Central who, not to take anything away from it, what a great high school wrestling career Chris Rowland's had. The kid from Bradley's a wrestler only. Obviously, Chris, he didn't get started until at least the 3rd week of December because he was playing up in Cookeville with the 6A state championship team. So, and I believe it was voted best match of the tournament in AAA. So, he lost by 1 point in the state championship match, in the best match of the tournament. You know, I know he wanted that gold medal. He got one last year, but I think it was his first loss of the season too. So a tough way to lose, but another just great year.
You know, you think about it. You walk onto the mat, and I don't know a whole lot about it. I mean, we can watch it all day, but being out there for those rounds or something. But Chris Rowland comes in, superb athlete. Strength is unbelievable, and it's so fast. You know when you're shaking hands with him, you have to be thinking, boy, oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
How tough this is going to be.
He's good looking. You know, and if you've seen his brother Seth, he's built like him. The dad, Tony's just like him. I knew that you were a basketball guy. The first wrestling match I went to with you, and you were screaming belly-to-belly suplex. I knew there was a little learning curve we were going to have. That was a joke.
I kept looking for the figure 4, but it never would come. So second place also as well, highest in school history. Wilco finalist last year, remember, in the wrestling category. Andrew Burchett, wrestling at 138 for Page, finishes second, highest in school history.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. We got some really good wrestling coaches in this conference, but I think what Benji Gray's done at Page. Page was successful in wrestling years ago, and in that thing, they even dropped the program for a while. And they brought it back. Coach Gray's been over there. He's young. He's brought a lot of enthusiasm, made it fun. They're still obviously working hard. You can tell by how many wrestlers they got in. I believe they got in 7 to the tournament. But what he's done, I think, has to be the best job probably in the mid-state, really.
And I want to give a shout-out as well to the Page Middle program. I mean, they're fielding 40 to 50 wrestlers every year, and that seems to be paying off for what he's doing at the high school level. Houston Ty Water of Page, 182 weight class, placed third for the Page Patriots. Ravenwood, Taylor Stoll, female wrestler last year, also Wilco finalist last year, female, 138 pounds, placed third. And to round it off, the first ever state champion for Old Sparty, Jayla Grimes, sophomore in the 148-pound weight class on the female side, wins it all.
Yep, that's a great accomplishment for her. And like you said, just a sophomore. You would think she's got a chance to get at least one, maybe two more.
Absolutely, and I know that's exciting for those, for Old Sparty to finally get that monkey off their back, if you will. They now have a state champion, and the finals, final placement for the wrestling teams goes as follows. Indy finished 19th overall, which is nothing to be, there's over 150 teams, 175 teams in this thing. 19th, Page finished 27th, Brentwood at 43rd, Summit 51st, Centennial 60th, Ravenwood 65th, Franklin 68th, Summit girls 84th. I mean, that's something to be bragging about, right? Ravenwood girls behind them at 95th, Indy girls at 111th, Fairview boys 135th, and Page girls 162nd. Congratulations to our coaches, to their individual wrestlers, and those teams for making it to the state championship. Wrestling is in the books. We did get a state champion, even though we got one, so that classifies or qualifies us right now with what we've got going on. We've got produced a state champion and everything right now up until this point except for soccer. So if we can get us one in basketball, it's going to be the toughest road of any, if you ask me. I'm a basketball guy. We haven't won one in 31 years. Basketball is extremely tough. We came a bounce away last year from Brentwood winning one. Hopefully we have a shot of getting back. Let's just get there first and then see what happens. So let's go into the basketball side. On the girls' side, the District 11 AAA basketball tournament was this past weekend, man. It was a good one, too, as well. We had a few upsets on the boys' side. On the girls' side, in the 2-7 game, the opening round, they had the border battle once again, Summit versus Indy, and, man, it was a dogfight, and Summit came out victorious in that matchup.
Yeah, and two things you take from that. I know it sounds like a broken record, but one, I think it speaks a lot to the girls of Independence and Coach White. They could have packed it in. They didn't. I mean, they almost pulled off that would have made the whole season worth it, and they came so close, but they never quit playing all the way to the very end. So I think, that has to be acknowledged. And then what Coach Goodwin's done with his Lady Spartans, he's found a way to keep winning. And sometimes in tournament basketball, as you know, you're going to have to win some tough ones. Maybe that was one of his tough ones.
Well, you're exactly right. There's several things I want to talk about is, Coach Goodwin, obviously, congratulations to him. He's the District 11 AAA Coach of the Year.
And should have been.
And rightfully so. But let's talk about the job Mary Beth White has done. They've lost a lot of close ones, and it's easy. It's so easy for kids to melt in at this age. And they kept battling, and not only that, they get the big win against Summit at the end of district play to get one district win. Still going to get last place. So they go in, turn around, and who do they get? They get Summit turn around. It couldn't have been a better scenario for the Independence Lady Eagles. And not only that, they have the ball. They're leading by 8 with 2 minutes to play and have the ball. Their senior guard has the ball with 8 seconds to go to win the game. Your best player has the ball. Well, obviously some things happen, scenario-based happen. They don't get a shot off going to overtime. With the type of scenario basketball that you're talking about, in basketball you have a game of runs. Summit finishes the game on an 8-0 run to get themselves tied up. So going into overtime, you're going to have a hard time overcoming that. But Independence, man, I can't say enough about the job that she has done. I want to give a shout-out to those girls, too, that stayed in there. It's always difficult when you go in there on that last game and you get beat and you walk in and have to face your seniors. But they did an unbelievable job of staying in the games, and they need to keep their heads up and be prideful of what happened this year. Forget the records. You took it all the way down to the wire, and that's all you can ask of those kids.
I think you hit the nail on the head.
Well, Franklin beats Brentwood in the 4-5 matchup there. You knew that Brentwood was kind of up and down all year. Had an unbelievable win against Dixon at Dixon, which nobody else could do. but just didn't get it done during the season to get themselves in placement-wise to get over that hump. Franklin right now, Coach Barnwell's group's playing well. Holly Harris, Jody Hill, playing good basketball, but Franklin gets the win there. And then Ravenwood beats Centennial. That's unfortunate. What a job Coach Hill has done all year long, but just couldn't get a couple of those district wins down early on. Once again, here's another deal where the placement during the regular season, what happened during the regular season affects them during the postseason play.
Yeah, and then, all you got to do is look at that. A lot of people say basketball is a tournament sport, but depending on the district, and you're right, those seedings can mean everything come tournament time. And you were talking about Franklin, and one thing with Independence, in all of basketball, but really it looks to me in girls basketball, if you have a scorer, it really overcomes a lot of things. And obviously with Summit, they've got Z, but when you look at Franklin, they're playing really well come tournament time. They got Jody Hill, 1,000-point club, one of the super sophomores, and Holly Harris, which I believe she's close, if not in it. So they've got two girls that can score. And come tournament time, Coach Barnwell's a guy. He's made some long tournament runs at other places, so he's no stranger to postseason play. When you got two girls like that, I think they got a chance. I don't think anybody really wants to see them right now.
Well, you're right on that. The sentiment from the coaches here on our side in WCS Sports Conference, and we'll have to include Dixon into this conversation, is that the top four coming from a District 11 AAA will be better than the four coming from the sister district that they'll have to play in region matchups. So they all feel confident, regardless of where they finish, that they can make a clean sweep and make it 4-0 on the girls' side, which that will play out.
To put it in perspective, I believe Antioch finished 1 or was going to finish 1. Summit beat them by 30. Now, that was earlier in the year, but got to feel pretty good about that.
Well, and to go back on my point about Centennial, Coach Hill, fantastic job. Chantel Fly has a bright future ahead of them. I look forward to seeing what they're going to do next year, but it's so important, and I know that he's talked to his ball club about this. We talk about this quite often as coaches. So important on those games on Tuesday night in mid-December and in January. You get a ball bounce here or there, or you come to play and you pick up a win or two. All of a sudden, come district tournament time, you don't have that matchup in the first round. You get to advance. Two hardest matchups to win is the first round of district tournament and the second regional matchup to get into the sub-state game and get in that championship game. Those two games are hard because it's do or go home, do or die. And it's hard for them to understand that in middle of December.
Right.
Saying if we don't win this game, we have a potential to put us at this seed. And they feel comfortable, hey, we've got 12, 15 games to go. Well, that one game could obviously, if you lose at the buzzer, could absolutely put you behind the 8 ball for the next 4 or 5 games. It may take you 4 or 5 games to get over it. So it's so interesting, and it's the part of basketball that I absolutely love, because when you start round 1 of district tournament, everybody is 0-0, and we'll talk about that on the boys' side in just a second, because
that was real
we had some big upsets.
Side.
But second round of District 11 AAA tournament, Ravenwood, the 3 seed, defeats Summit, the 2 seed there, to advance, and Dixon, obviously number 1 seed, beats Franklin. And we to give you the showdown between Dixon and Ravenwood, which I thought matched up a little better at this point in time than maybe Summit does. Ravenwood in the championship game came out, played a great game, had a great game. Matter of fact, nip and tuck game all the way, 4 6-point game, ends up losing by 8 or 9 in the championship game. Lily Carter obviously brings something to the table that it doesn't matter defensively what you do. She's going to get hers. They have a post player right now, one of the larger girls in the district that you can't hardly seal. She's when she seals you, it's over with. Stout. She's a sophomore. You've got Emily Beard out there, who got the MVP this year. Is a great player. She's kind of the glue. And then they have 2 fantastic shooters. So, I mean, it's pick your poison. But Ravenwood had a great game plan, did a great job, just came up a little short.
Yeah. On that side, with as talented as Dixon County is, any of our teams, it's just the way it is this year. They're going to have to play almost a perfect game and hope that Dixon doesn't, because they are talent-wise head and shoulder above everybody in the district.
So as it goes into the regional seeding right now, the number 1 seed coming from our side will be the Dixon County Lady Cougars, and in the second slot will be the Ravenwood Lady Raptors. Third slot, Summit Lady Spartans, and in fourth, the Franklin Lady Rebels going into Region 6 AAA play. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about on the AA side for us. Girls district tournament for 12 AA would be the Page Patriots. They did survive and advance the first round against Spring Hill. lost their second-round matchup to number 1 seeded CPA right now, who's the favorite right now in AA, probably all of AA girls to possibly win the AA crown. Lost to them, played in the consolation game against Cascade, won 55-41 to get themselves as the number 3 seed going into region play.
Yeah, I think third place in that district is something to be proud of. Coach Brock, his first year. CPA is just really, really, really good. Going to be hard for anybody to knock them off until the state tournament. So third place at the beginning of the year, third place for the Page Lady Patriots in that district. I think they'd have taken that.
Absolutely. On the boys' side, 11 AAA. Man, this is tournament basketball at its best. Dixon, the 6th seed coming in, defeats Old Sparty. It hurts to report that this morning because I really, saw John Carter up there the other day, came to the obviously to watch the rest of it. He respects everybody, and they're all friends when they get off the court. He's there, and I'm just sitting there thinking, man, it's a shame that this guy didn't have an opportunity to get himself in region play to watch them play, but they get upset by Dixon. That's a 6 over a 3. But you know what? Dixon was that buzzsaw that everybody just really didn't want to match up against.
Yeah, it was a bad matchup for them, and Summit's one of those teams that when they're on, man, they could beat anybody, and on nights when they weren't quite on, sometimes they struggled a little bit. And like you said, seeding, who knows? Maybe a Summit-Franklin matchup would have been better for Summit. The Dixon matchup wasn't the best opening round matchup for Dixon County, for Summit with Dixon County. And in the opening round, you win, you move on, you lose, you're taking up uniforms the next Monday. I mean, it's tough.
And so you got to think, you go back to that December game when they played Dixon and Dixon beats them. Now, what you have done is Dixon now feels like they can beat them at any given time. Instead of a coach having to play and fake it till you make it, say, yeah, we can go out there and beat them if they've beaten you both times. The kids actually say, hey, this is who we want. We've already beaten them once. We can beat them again. And, then there's some uncertainty on the other side. You go in as the favorite, and some of the guys are thinking, man, they beat us one time. We're going to have to play really well. Just so many things that go into this. And the mental side of it. The mental side is just as important as the physical side. If the kids believe, which we're fixing to talk about, if the kids believe that they can beat somebody, they'll go out there and do it. And it's the job of the coach to sell it. Hey, they may have beaten us 30 points each time, but you know what? I've got it in my hands right here. I used to say this. I've had to use this numerous times because I never had the opportunity until I went to West Tennessee to be the higher seed. I was always the lower seed. So you have to go in thinking, you break down film 100 different times, and hopefully the games are close enough that you can go in and sell it and say, listen, I've got it right here. I've got the scouting report. This is what we're going to do. You better believe we're going to go in there and win. It needs to be that sentiment all the way through. The kids have to buy into it. Franklin goes in right there and as the 7th seed beats Brentwood. Now, Brentwood had been up and down all year long, but for somehow they had gotten themselves in that number 2 slot.
That's right.
They had been playing, I think they had won 9 out of their last 10, playing good basketball. What I saw, the swagger that they had at the Centennial game, which was a shock to me that they beat Centennial at Centennial, man, I thought for sure that this team right here is going to be in the district championship game. Couldn't even make it out of the first round because Franklin came in, shot the ball well, started believing, and upset the Bruins.
Yeah, and that one you kind of thought there might be a little something to it. They barely beat them, 2 weeks, a week and a half ago when they played. And so obviously Franklin felt like they matched up well with Brentwood. But you're right, it seemed like they had that old Bruin swagger back. They were really playing well, beating some good teams. And to finish second from where they started the regular season, to finish second, I thought was a heck of an accomplishment. But, hats off to Franklin. Coach Wilson said it. Sometimes you think coaches are just saying it because they feel like they need to say it. Hey, we're knocking on the door. We're knocking on the door. I'm telling you, come tournament time, we're going to be fine. Think about this. They won 1 district game all season long. They won 2 in the tournament. They won more in the tournament than they did all season long.
In a 48-hour window.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Against some good teams.
And that's what you got to love about tournament basketball because everybody's 0-0. Anything can happen. Centennial in the 4-5 matchup with Ravenwood. This was a really good game. Knew this would be a tough matchup both ways, really. And it was a close game. Centennial outlast Ravenwood for that to advance, to set up the best game of the tournament, if you ask me. The Independents got the bye. They were the best team coming in against Centennial, man, and what a game it was. KJ LaSure right now is playing lights out. His last 3 games, 21 points, 27 points, 20 points. He is playing lights out right now. But Independence gets the edge at the very end to beat and outlast Centennial to advance. Franklin turned around and beats Dixon. Now, you got to think, you've got the two best teams, arguably two best teams on one side. You've got the two lowest seeded teams that advance to fight each other, get in the championship game. Franklin beats Dixon to set up the Independence-Franklin matchup, which was a great game. It was a little chippy. I love to see that out of Franklin. They could have easily laid down, but it was back and forth. You know, they got up 20-25 at one point, and they got it all the way, cut it all the way back to 12. Interesting note, I'm going to get on my high horse for just a moment. The officiating right now. I understand that they're humans. I understand that they're going to make mistakes, but all I ask, and all I've ever asked as coaches, is to understand situational basketball. What happens is they get lost in the fact that they think that when coaches get upset, when players get upset, that it's a personal attack upon them. And I'm here to tell you right now, there are cases that it is personal attacks. And there are cases where I don't like you, Tate, you're the referee, we've had bad blood from here on, and I'm going to make it hard on you, and you're going to make it hard on me. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But understand situational basketball. Understand that when kids get on a run in a district championship game, there are going to be things that are said, whether good, bad, or indifferent. It is incumbent upon the official to stop the game, to at least give the kids a head up and warn them.
That's right.
So we make a run. Patrick Murphy makes a great play. Crowd's into it. The crowd was phenomenal. The atmosphere, you couldn't ask for any better. Okay, so Franklin's making a run, and he gets into it, makes a run, he comes out. He claims, he says, let's go. I'm not going to be naive to the point that there may be something else said. It doesn't matter. Immediately, the referee hits him with a technical foul. Now, at that point in time, he could have easily stopped the game, got them together and say, look, I know you're pumped up. Situational basketball. I need you to take it a notch back. Next one will be a technical. Okay, no harm, no foul. So then, later in the game, Patrick Murphy, for the first time that I've gotten to see him, Coach Glass told me it was the second, absolutely dunks on a kid. I mean, I was in shock. Dunks on a kid. Kid's below him. He goes up, dunks. He looks down. He lets go with one hand, hangs for just a second for the kid to clear, and gets popped with a second technical.
Awesome.
Now, that's a judgmental call. It's a judgmental call on behalf of the official, whether or not that's a technical. Now, we're easily quick to blow the whistle on a technical foul on hanging on the rim. That's an easy call. Boy, we love to call that. Because if you hang more than 1 second, oh, that's a technical foul. You've delayed the game. Kid was under him. It's subjective. Now, luckily, that's not considered a technical foul of unsportsmanlike conduct. Okay? Now, the referees did not explain that to Coach Glass. I was under the impression the same way that he had to be out. It was a second technical, but no, it goes towards his personal fouls. So at that point in time, that gives him his 4th personal foul. But Coach Glass, like myself, takes him out of the game. I would have done the same thing. Takes him out of the game thinking, second technical foul, 2-game suspension. But that never was clarified. Now, what if that game goes down to the wire and one of your best players is sitting over there? Now, I don't mean to be accusatory or condemning of the TWA. I ask one simple thing. Understand situational basketball.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
we could do a whole hour on that.
I could do a whole hour on that.
But we also have to, I'm with you. Give them a warning. You do it again, hey, I'm cool with that. I warned you, son. But a wise coach that I've been around a long time, I've always heard him say, a good referee, nobody even knows he's there.
That's absolutely right.
He shouldn't be in charge. The outcome of a game shouldn't be decided on a judgment call on something like that. The other thing, coaches got to learn, and neither one of these coaches who were involved in this game are guilty of this, so I can say it. But, we got some coaches now that they're on those referees from the tip to the end and, making them look bad. And some of that, we got to get a control of on the coaches. Hey, you got people watching you too. If I'm a referee and you're trying to embarrass me the whole game, hey, buddy, maybe I'm not going to give you the call towards the end. But on this one, Greg Glass isn't like that. Jamie Wilson isn't like that. And this is a good kid. I mean, I'm with you.
Now,
you can't make that call.
Now, if we were playing Love It or Shove It right now, I would shove your comment because
you're a coach.
Well, I am a coach first, but I'm going to get fired if I don't win.
I know that.
They're never going to get fired nor have accountability above them if they're an awful official. But that's neither here nor there. We got to advance the show. Now, on the all-district tournament team for the girls on the girls' side,
Is that referee on the boys all-district team?
We have Taylor Sexton from Brentwood, Chantel Fly, Centennial, Emily Beard, Sierra Smith, Lily Carter, the MVP from Dixon County, Abby Unger from Franklin, Kira Downey, Megan Hawken from Ravenwood, Ashton Arnold from Summit. On the boys' side, we had Ben Batista, Brentwood High School, KJ LaSure, Hunter Walcott from Dixon County, Evan Sigler from Franklin, Reese Govler from Franklin, Grayson Murphy, named MVP, rightfully so, Patrick Murphy and Malcolm Walker, also from Independence, Zach Tudine from Ravenwood, and Jaden Lewis from Summit. Now let's look at the Region 6 AAA matchups. Real quick, very briefly before we get off the air here. This begins this Friday night. Friday night, the girls' quarterfinals will be Game 1, Dixon County, the number 1 seed, taking on Glencliff. Summit, the number 3 seed, taking on Antioch, the number 2 seed. Franklin, number 4, playing Cane Ridge, the number 1, and Hunters Lane, number 3, against Ravenwood. That is Friday. That is the girls' side. On Saturday, the games will be played. On the boys' side, McGavick, the number 4, playing Independence at 3:30 in that early game. Centennial, number 3 seed, going against Cane Ridge, number 2, who got upset by Hillsboro in the championship game. Dixon County versus Hillsboro. Hillwood versus Franklin. What do you think?
On the girls, I think we go 4-0.
Absolutely.
Our district. I don't even think that'll be close. I would think that Dixon County will come out of that thing as the champion. On the boys' side, I tell you, the one that would scare me, and I'm glad Indy didn't get him. If I'm Coach Glass, and I think I got a great team, I don't want anything to do with Cane Ridge until that championship game. But I think that first round, that Centennial Cane Ridge game, if Coach Froden, and what a job he did against Independence, but if he can pull that one off, man, that'll be his best job of the year because Cane Ridge is good.
I think so. Centennial is going to have that's a tough matchup for them because you've got to be able to score points with them. Centennial's going to have to rely upon KJ LaSure to have 20 or more and have a couple other guys step up. That's a tough matchup. Hillsboro, Dixon County. Watch it.
That's a boat race.
Watch it. Hillsboro's a half-court team. They like to play high-low. That plays right into Dixon County. Watch it. Put it on your watch. Now, going into WMAA.
I do think Franklin has a great matchup. I think they get a win.
I'm telling you right now, Dixon County, watch what happens because Hillsboro's a half-court team. That plays right into Dixon's favor. Cane Ridge thinks they can run with Independence. Bring it on. Let's go full-court press. Watch the Murphy brothers. Watch what happens. I'm going to predict right now Independence gets into the sub-state game. Now, in the WMAA, big-time Middle School Association Championship Week for those guys. Hey, it'll be on air here Friday night. You want to see the full schedule of when it airs, make sure you check into wc-tv.net to check that full schedule. On the girls' side, the number 1 team going in is the Sunset. They had a 3-way tie between Sunset, Brentwood, and Spring Station. We literally had to reach into a cup to pick out the winners of that one. On the other side, we had a tie for first place between Page and Brentwood Middle. We had to flip a coin there. I think, like you said off the air, Brentwood's going to be fun to watch. Do have a kid in the 8th grade right now that has 2 dunks. Freedom Middle School. Don't sleep. In a game. Yeah. Don't sleep on Freedom Middle School. They have a good point guard there. This ought to be good. It's all at Freedom Middle School beginning this week. Be interesting. Like I said, WCTV will have the championship game on to see who that champion is. Please stay tuned to watch that. Thank you for joining us for this week's WCS Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.